Monday, welcome back to my channel. I don't know about you, but I am ready to play with some makeup. So I've been wanting to do a video like this for a while. I think it's been well over a year since I've given you guys an update on my Z palette, and I think the last time I filmed a Z palette video, I don't even think I did swatches, so we're gonna go ham. We're gonna go in today. We are going to be talking about this bad boy right here. So this is basically my custom single eyeshadow palette. I have single eyeshadows from a bunch of different brands. This is an extra large Z palette that I'm holding them in, so it contains 35 different shadows. I have ones from MAC, from ColourPop, from Makeup Geek, Anastasia Beverly Hills, from NYX. So today I thought it might be fun to go through this, talk about the different brands, the different shadows, why I like them, some things that I'm not as big of a fan of, kind of discuss, swatch, play, hopefully help you guys out if you're interested in building your own custom palettes, kind of like where you can get started. Now I'm just putting it out there that like I did not create this overnight. As I said before, this is a work in progress and I've had some of these shadows for probably over 2 years now. So it takes a while and a lot of money to build up a palette like this, so please don't feel overwhelmed or like this is where you need to start. There are tons of smaller like 4-pan or 9-pan palettes that are great if you're just starting to build up your collection. I just really like makeup, so this is currently where I'm at. And of course, for those of you who are new here, I just want to say hi and welcome. My name is Lauren. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today. I do upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I hope you'll click that subscribe button and come back for more of my content in the future. And with all the introductions out of the way now, why don't we get into this palette? Alright, so these are all of the shadows that I currently have, and for right now, I kind of organized them in rows based on color tone. So the top row is kind of more neutral browns, then I have sort of more warm browns, then I have some more kind of orangey pink shades, then some cool tones and purples, and then kind of like my blues and greens. And obviously it's not exactly perfect because in some situations I had more shades or less shades than fit in a row, but that was kind of the general vibe that I was going for. So I figured what we can do is swatch these guys row by row and kind of go through the shadows and talk about them and why I like them and where they're from and all that good stuff. So the first shade we've got here is this color called Now and Zen. This is a ColourPop shadow, and this one is sort of a duochrome shade. It's like a white pearl with a green gold shift to it. This one is super intense and really, really beautiful as like an inner corner highlight. I think it's super stunning, very, very pigmented. Love this shade a lot. Then next we have MAC Brulee. Now this shade is kind of similar to my skin tone, so it doesn't show up very well on my arm here, but this is basically what I use to set down eyeshadow or what I use as a brow bone highlight. It's kind of one of those do-it-all shades for someone of my complexion because it can kind of like blur out any harsh edges. It's just kind of a staple shade to have in just about any palette. This next shade is another ColourPop one. This one's called Take It Slow. This is a really beautiful shimmery metallic champagne color. This is really beautiful as either a highlight or it could be used all over the lid. Again, super pigmented in just one swatch, really easy to work with. Then next we have a kind of classic in the beauty community. This is MAC Wedge. This is a nice transition shade. I've had this one for quite a while. It's just a kind of a matte brown, but as you can see, it doesn't swatch the best. Again, it's kind of dry. I feel like the MAC shadows are pressed really hard into their pans, so you kind of really got to dig in there with a brush to pick up any product. This color does look really nice in a lot of different looks. It is a really beautiful transition. I use it a lot, but more and more I'm finding that the MAC formula is something that I don't like as much as, say, the ColourPop one. Again, this next one is another classic from MAC. It's Sable. This is more of like a satin shadow, I would say. It's not quite as metallic as like the ColourPop ones, but it definitely adds a sheen to the skin. It's sort of like a reddish brown. This one is really pretty for deepening up the outer corners of the eye without adding like a flatness. It kind of has like a little bit of dimension to it. A really, really pretty shade. And then this next one is newer to me. I haven't used this one as much, and it's funny because now when I'm swatching it side by side with MAC Swiss Chocolate, which is the next shade, I realize how similar they are, and I probably don't need them both. This is sort of one of those reddish, rusty undertoned chocolatey browns. It's like a hot chocolate kind of a shade. It does feel pretty nice and smooth and pigmented. As I said before, the next shade is MAC Swiss Chocolate, and these two look almost identical next to each other swatched. So as I'm realizing, I probably don't need to keep both of these shades in this palette. Of the two of them, I might actually get rid of MAC Swiss Chocolate, which is completely like blowing my mind because this was one of my favorite colors for the longest time. But I might like the Makeup Geek formula better. I might have to kind of use them both a little bit more to see which one I like, and then I probably will declutter the one that the formula I'm not as big of a fan of. Now we're moving on to the second row. This first shade here is Anastasia Beverly Hills Legend. This is a really beautiful gold champagne metallic. I had this one before I got the shade Now and Zen, and like looking at them swatched on my arm, they look very similar to each other. Legend is a little bit of a deeper gold shade. Then next we have Makeup Geek Glamorous. This one is sort of more of a bronzy toned orange gold shade. This has got more of a satin finish to it. It has a little bit of a sheen, but it's not super intense. And then next we have MAC Amber Lights. Amber Lights is such a classic shade. This one is super metallic, really, really beautiful all over the lid for a very pretty statement look. Definitely love and get a lot of use out of this shadow. So this next shade is one of those ugly pretty colors. This is sort of a mustard slash camel brown yellow kind of concoction. This shadow looks amazing in the crease. It really can warm up a look so beautifully, and it's one of my absolute favorites from ColourPop. This next one is probably one of the newest things I added to my Z palette. I got this at TJ Maxx, and it's an Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow. It's the shade Fawn, and I picked this up for like $4 or something ridiculous like that. This is just a really nice matte transition color. It's a very neutral brown tone, works with a lot of different looks, and I really enjoy it. Then next we have Makeup Geek Mocha. This is again another matte brown shade, good for deepening up the outer corner of the eye. It's a little bit more cool toned, works well in a number of different looks. Again, a kind of like staple shade to have in a palette. Then this next shade is really cool. This one's from ColourPop. This was one of their fall collection shades. It's called Dragonfly, and it's sort of like a brown shade with a purple undertone, and it's got a metallic sheen to it. It's so beautiful. I've used this on the lid for smoky looks, or like added a little bit to the outer corner just to deepen things up. It's super, super pretty, kind of a unique shade, and I really enjoy it a lot. Then we're moving into the third row. This first shade here is from ColourPop. This one is called Running Late. It's a nice matte sort of creamsicle shade. It's a little bit more warm and fun than something brown in the transition in the crease, so I've been enjoying using that, especially paired with this next shade, which is also from ColourPop. This one is called I Owe You. This one is more of a true kind of orange matte, really fun for a warm toned look. Then next, this one's also from ColourPop. This is one of my favorites. It's called Come and Get It. It is a pink gold duochrome shade, and I think it is so stunning all over the lid. Really, really fun for girly looks, and when I saw this, I knew I needed to have it. It was one of the first ColourPop shadows when they first released that I was like, yes, must have. This next one is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's this shade called China Rose. This one is sort of more of a metallic satin, like it's not quite as impactful as a full metallic shadow, and it's got like a little bit more of an orange coral undertone with a gold shift to it. Really, really pretty summery springtime shade. I like that one all over the lid as well. Then if you want to go like straight fire, this next shadow is bananas. This is from NYX actually. It's one of their prismatic eyeshadows. You can actually buy these just in a naked pan form from the NYX website or a NYX store. This one's called Fireball, and it is a gorgeous, super impactful, metallic-y red copper shade. This one looks so cool all over the lid. Really, really stunning. Then this next shadow I entirely blame Jaclyn Hill on. This is MAC Red Brick, and I bought this shade because I saw it in her Z palette video and was like, yes, I need to have that. And I actually do really love this shadow a lot for really warm toned looks. It's like a kind of ketchupy red shade, really, really fun. And last we have another ColourPop shade called Crisscross. This one is a more of a brown red, it's a little bit deeper. It reminds me of the shade Hunts from the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette actually, if you have that one, very similar in tone. Then we're moving into the fourth row, which is a little bit more cool toned and berry toned. This first shade here is by ColourPop. This one is called Snake Eyes. How flippin' gorgeous is this? This one is, again, a kind of like metallic shade with almost like a little bit of glitter in it. It's sort of like a cool taupe with a champagne shift. This one is stunning all over the lid. Next we have MAC Satin Taupe. This one is sort of like a bridal classic. I know when I was looking up reviews, this is a shade that a lot of makeup artists use in bridal looks. It's kind of like a satin, dark, purpley taupe color, really beautiful in the outer corner of the eye to add a little bit of depth and dimension, but it still has that like a little bit of shift and sheen to it that's really pretty. Then we have MAC Quarry. This one is kind of like my staple go-to transition shade for cool toned looks. It's again sort of like a purpley taupe. It reminds me a lot, if Satin Taupe was not metallic, I feel like Quarry would basically be that shade. Then this next shade you unfortunately can't get because it was totally exclusive to Gen Beauty LA in 2017. This is the shade Ipster on Fleek. I got it. ColourPop had just launched their pressed powder formula, so this was a special shade they were offering to people that were at that event. It's a really cool metallic sort of purpley taupe shade. It's like a little bit more lavender than Snake Eyes is and a little bit less glittery, but this one again is so, so pretty all over the lid. And if you want a little bit more straight up purple, something a little bit more traditional, this is Anastasia Beverly Hills Macaroon. Really pretty springtime shade. I like this one a lot, all over the lid again, just really fun. And then for your more deeper sort of berry tones, this one is Anastasia Beverly Hills Sangria. This one is a really pretty sort of frosty cranberry shade. This one I feel like I've seen this color a lot in a lot of warm toned eyeshadow palettes lately. But this is, yeah, a really beautiful warm cranberry shade with a bit of a sheen to it. And then the last shade in this row is ColourPop Stay Golden. This one is bananas. This is a matte shade. It's so pigmented and it's like this really cool like deep berry shade. This one is fire for warm toned looks. I absolutely love this. It's really intense. A little goes a long way, so it's not necessarily super beginner friendly, but it is a stunning shade. Then we move into the final row. This next shade is a NYX Prismatic Shadow, and unfortunately they don't put the names in the bottom of the pan, and I think this color is called Bewitched, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm gonna have to go look it up and put it in the description box for you. But this is a green metallic shadow with a nice shimmery shift to it. It's like a little bit gold. It is absolutely so cool. Such an interesting color. I really, really love this one a lot. If you can get even cooler, it's this next one. This one's from ColourPop. It's the shade Tea Garden. This is such a cool duochrome shade. So it's kind of like a green gold with a red base to it. This looks so cool when you put it all over the lid. It just has such a neat like shift to it. It's maybe even more of like a trichrome between green, gold, and red. Such a unique shade. Really love it. Then if you want more of a true green metallic, this is ColourPop Sideline, which is a really cool metallic green shade. Super fun, a little bit more deep and smoky. It does have a little bit of a duochromatic type of shift to it. Like I feel like I can see a little bit of red, a little bit of blue in there as well. But it's just a little bit deeper than Tea Garden is, and it definitely gives a more green pull to it. Then we have MAC Steamy. This is a really cool like teal turquoisey kind of shade with a little bit of a gold shift to it. This one is really fun on the lower lash line or even like in the inner corner as like a really cool pop of color and a look. Such a stunning shade. I understand why this one is one of MAC's more popular shades. Then this next shadow, I'm pretty positive this is an Urban Decay shadow called Lounge, which is a super cool duochrome shade. This one again has like a strong green shift with like a brown red base to it. Really cool for a smoky eye that's colorful. This shade is so much fun. Speaking of fun, this next one from ColourPop I'm like addicted to. This one's called Glass Bowl, and this is such a neat duochrome. It's kind of like purple and blue and pink all kind of mixed in together, and it has like a really cool sheen to it. I feel like on the camera it does not pick up the shift quite as well as it does in real life. It's just, this one is such a stunner, such a cool unique shade. And of course last is ColourPop Let's Do It. This is just your standard good old matte black color, because you always can use a good matte black shadow for deepening up a look, for setting down your liner. You know, matte black shades have a number of different uses. This one's really pigmented, really easy to work with, and I like it a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all of those swatches, getting to know these shadows a little bit better. So now I kind of want to talk a little bit about the brands and the prices and just my overall thoughts on these shadows. So the most inexpensive ones in my palette are the NYX ones and the ColourPop ones. Those ones retail for $4 per pan. ColourPop, if you get them in a compact, it's $5, but you can get them without for $4. To be honest, I would say that these are the best value. Quality-wise, I think ColourPop are the best eyeshadows that I have in my collection. They are really just incredible. The mattes are all super smooth, pigmented, and buttery. The metallics are so intense, so foiled, and so beautiful. I think that if you're unsure of where to start, ColourPop is the way to go, in my opinion. They're just really, really beautiful, have some really cool colors. You really can't go wrong. Then the next tier up is Makeup Geek and MAC. Both of them are $6 per pan. Makeup Geek does have their foiled shadows, which are $10. I don't own any of those, but the original regular Makeup Geek shadows are $6. So I will say that MAC shadows were what kind of like turned me on to singles in the first place, because they were so popular and so hyped up. And while I do use the ones that I have and I think that they are decent, I think that they are drier and they are pressed more firmly into their pans than the ColourPop ones. So you really need to use like a rougher brush or use more pressure to pick product up with those shadows, or you need to like build and build them. So if you like shadows that are a little bit more sheer and buildable, then some of the MAC ones you may really like. Also, I noticed that the MAC shadows, the magnets on them, the pans are just like a little bit shaped differently, so they're not quite as secure in the palette. Like MAC, I think their MAC shadows are designed to go into MAC's magnetic palettes that kind of have like wells that are a little more secure than just a regular palette with just a flat magnet in the back. So that's also something to think about, especially if you're not completely filling the palette. If there's any gaps anywhere, your MAC shadows may kind of like roll around or be more likely to be knocked out of place. The Makeup Geek shadows that I have, I got as part of a surprise bundle, so I didn't pick them out myself, and I think that they're okay, but I would be really curious to try some shades that I personally was really, really interested in. Although to be honest, now that I have ColourPop, I almost feel like I'm more interested in trying more ColourPop shadows than I am in trying more Makeup Geek ones, just because they're cheaper and I think that they are just as good, if not better. And then last is Anastasia Beverly Hills. They're the most expensive. Her singles are $12 a piece. Now, if you buy 4 at a time, usually you can get a discount bundle and get them for $10 a piece. So like 4 for $40, and they usually give you like a free compact, especially if you're ordering them online from like Ulta or Sephora. But they are still significantly more expensive than like even the Makeup Geek ones. I mean, you can get 2 ColourPop shadows for less than you can for one of the Anastasia Beverly Hills ones. Now that being said, I think ABH makes some really beautiful eyeshadows. I do really enjoy the ones that I have. I was really excited to get one for $4 at TJ Maxx, because that was like kind of a no-brainer for me. I think with Anastasia, I probably wouldn't go out of my way to buy those single shadows because they are so expensive. What I say they would be good for is if you've used one of her palettes. Sometimes she does have those shades in the palettes in single pan form. So if you have a shade from a palette that you absolutely really, really love, but you find yourself not reaching for the whole palette, you may just want to purchase that one single shade. Save yourself for purchasing, or save yourself from buying a $40, $50 palette and just get that one shade. For me right now, that's probably Pink Titanium. I had that from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Self-Made palette. I think that shade is so cool, so beautiful. It's like really intense, pinky, kind of taupey, glittery shade. Looks really, really neat all over the lid. So that may be something that I eventually pick up. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful, informative. If you were thinking about purchasing any kind of eyeshadow singles for yourself, just to kind of see these ones that I have, hopefully if you were curious, see what they looked like, now you'll know. I will link everything for you guys in the description box if you want to shop any of these shades. I will also link for you guys a bunch of different carrying cases or things that you can put your eyeshadow singles in. Obviously, this is a Z palette. Z palette has had some drama over the last year in the way that their brand has treated some of their customers, which I think is kind of shady. I just had these from before all of that happened, so this is just what I currently own that is large enough to store all of my eyeshadows in. But I know there are a lot of other great magnetic palettes out there, so I will list some options for you guys if you're not wanting to purchase a Z palette, but you want something to store your eyeshadows in. If you guys enjoy makeup swatches and these kind of collection videos, give this one a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And again, if you're not already subscribed and you want to see more videos from me, I hope you'll click that button before you click out of this video. This Wednesday we'll be talking about my February favorites, so you should get excited to see that. And yeah, I hope you guys are having an awesome Monday, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.